It's the Boys Down Bad podcast, and we are super excited to welcome on Nebraska Baseball's Charlie Fischer to the pod. Charlie, welcome on, brother.
Excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on, man. So first off, we just wanted to say congrats on a great season. You played really well, hit like 295 with 7 bombs and 36 RBIs, and you also hit the home run that broke the team single season home run record at Nebraska. What was it like playing on a team where everyone just raked?
Dude, it's nuts. I mean, it's one of those things where it obviously makes it a lot of fun. I mean, first and foremost, it was a great group of guys. But at the same time, it's like you show up to the yard every day and you're kind of like, all right, like who's going to hit 2 homers today, or who's going to hit a 450-foot homer? Like, is it going to be Swanee? Is it going to be Bryce, or is Max going to hit 2 backside homers, like, and run around smiling, wearing his goggles? Like, you never know. It was a lot of fun. This team, it was super talented. So it was a great group to be a part of for sure.
Is that kind of the vibe and the energy? Like, were you guys just going up there trying to hit bombs?
Honestly, I mean, I want to say yes because we hit a bunch of them, but like it was just a bunch of guys that were, I guess, committed to like an approach at the plate, like, and I guess sold out to it and it worked. I mean, you got a lot of guys that are just stupid strong. And obviously at Haymarket with the wind and stuff, that definitely plays. And I think over the first couple of weeks, you started to realize, like, okay, like in the fall, we saw guys flash some juice, like hit some homers in practice and stuff. And you're like, all right, like there's potential. And then you saw a few guys like really turn it on, like Breeze. I mean, this was my first year here, but like Bryce Matthews, for example, like I knew like he's stupid toolsy. He's got every tool in the book you could think of. He's fast, got a good arm, hit for power, hit for contact. But he ran into some balls early in the year and it's like, all right, like dude's got some juice. We can see it. Then it started to become like really consistent. You're like, okay, like this dude's obviously a dog. And then you got guys like Max, who I don't know how, like one of the best hitter I've ever been around, like just great dude as well. But just you look at him and he doesn't really pass the eye test, which I love about him. But you got guys like him. And then Swanee had a big year. I think he had like 16 or 17 pumps himself. So just a group of guys that you show up. And like I said, like even guys like Will Walsh dominated on the mound for us this year, but in batting practice, like hits balls that you're just like, how the hell did he do that type of thing? So that also made it a lot of fun to be like practice and stuff like that. I mean, it definitely makes it a lot more entertaining when you're watching guys hit balls over the light poles every day.
100%. We had Bryce on earlier. He came to our house and chopped it up with us. He said that he was most proud of his walks on the year.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
Oh no, that he's just being humble. Like, you know, that like, Bryce in the back of his head, you know that he's like, damn, I just hit a ball 480. Like, but no, that's the type of dude he is. I mean, he's a team player, and obviously his numbers are video game numbers. But that's the best thing about the team this year is like you got like him and Max, like both All-Americans, unanimous All-Americans, but like they don't care. Like they're not going up to the plate like, man, I got to get mine. It's like, all right, like what can I do to produce for the team and how can we win? Which just makes it so much more fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, speaking of Bryce and Max, how fun is it to watch those guys do that in a season? Like, you know, last year maybe they didn't have that power, that, you know, that dog in them, and then this year they make that huge growth. How fun is that to watch those two do their thing?
Yeah, for sure. I think the first, like, not that you take it for granted, but like they're just so good at what they do that it's like you don't really realize, like, I mean, you look up halfway through the year and, well, Max, first of all, was the first dude in D1 baseball to get to 100 hits. Like, you don't even think about that. Like, that's a crazy feat in itself. And same with Bryce. Like, you don't really realize what they're doing until, like, you'll see a tweet like, oh, Bryce is the first 2020 play, like 20 steals, 20 homers. And it's like, oh, my God. Like, I mean, because it just every day it's so consistent, which makes it even more impressive. But, yeah, it's a lot of fun and definitely makes for an entertaining night. I mean, you don't really know what they're going to do. It's going to be something impressive, but you don't really know how they're going to do it and when they're going to do it.
100%. They're just dogs. But we want to talk a little bit about you now. Let's go back to the beginning and the start of your career. Did you always want to play baseball as a kid? Was that your goal?
Honestly, so I grew up in Edina, Minnesota, which is technically the hockey capital of the world. So all my buddies, when I was younger, they were skating, they were playing pond hockey and stuff, and I sucked. Like every time I put skates on, I had to have like their parents tie them. Like it was brutal. Like I was whatever, like a bender or whatever you call it. Like it was bad. So I ended up playing basketball, and then I think like my sophomore year of high school, or the varsity coach, he was the dad of one of my good buddies growing up, and he was like, you have some potential with baseball if you really want to pursue it. And that's when I started kind of playing the travel ball, the going down south, and kind of pursuing it a little bit more. And that's when I realized, like, I mean, if I can play at the collegiate level, it's definitely something I want to do for sure.
100%. So you got recruited to Southern Miss, played 4 years there. What was the story like for you to get there?
Yeah, so they actually Matt Wallner, who's with the Minnesota Twins now, he's from Forest Lake, Minnesota. He went down there and he kind of, I guess, created the pipeline, if you will. Like the coach, I mean, it's an hour from the coast in Mississippi. Like it's very southern. Like I hadn't even heard of it when they started recruiting me. I was like, Southern Missouri, like, and then I was told it was Southern Mississippi, which wasn't a good look for myself. But I mean, growing up in Minnesota, you don't really baseball's not big. Like no disrespect to like the Gophers, for example. Like you go to a game and it's 200 people. Like that was huge to me. And then you go down south on these visits, and like when I visited Southern Miss, it was like there's 6,000 people at the game, like all in right field. They're pounding beers, grilling during the game. It's like there's no way this is what baseball is like at this level. So started being recruited by them and kind of fell in love with them right away, the coaching staff and the environment and everything. And just the idea of playing baseball in the South to me coming from Minnesota was huge. So I had some good conversations with those coaches and got down on a visit, and I think ended up committing like a week after.
Nice. What was your experience like there? You talked about kind of seems like a tailgate environment down there. People are getting crazy for games. Is that kind of like what it was like?
Yeah, no, it was electric. I definitely I had my 4 years there, and there was no bad blood when leaving. It was just kind of the opportunity of graduate transferring and like being able to see somewhere else in college baseball. But I mean, it was an unreal 4 years. We hosted a super regional last year. We were in regionals every year I was there, and just like the fans there, because it's a mid-major, but it's a baseball school. So like baseball, they're selling out to it. Like last night they played in the super regional against Tennessee, and they had like 5,900 people, which for there is a bunch. I mean, it was slam packed. You got people that are sitting outside at 8 a.m. for a game at 5 p.m. just to get in, pounding beers and stuff. And it's just a great environment. And everybody there cares about the school and they care about the team and they want you to succeed. So that was a lot of fun to kind of go down there and be accepted into all that, I guess, if you will.
For sure. You talked about it a little bit. So you guys hosted a super regional. You hosted the regional, right?
Yay. Let's see. Last year we hosted a regional and a super regional. I think that was it. We went to Ole Miss my sophomore year. My freshman year, I didn't travel, but they went to LSU, I think is the right, if that math adds up. But
what's it like playing in a regional and super regional, like that type of environment?
It's crazy. I mean, that's definitely when you get to experience the bigger fan bases and the crowds. Our fan base was electric and they were very supportive. So playing at home was unreal. That's definitely one of my favorite moments, was winning the regional at home and then kind of seeing all the Hattiesburg, Mississippi, I guess is where the school is, just the city kind of come together and go crazy. But I mean, we went to Ole Miss my sophomore year, I want to say, and that was Ole Miss is obviously the little preppier school compared to the blue collar mid major Southern Miss. So we went there, and I still vividly remember like I was 0 for 3 or 0 for 4 against Ole Miss in the regional, like struck out 2 or 3 times and walking back to the dugout, and like some guy was like Fischer, and I was like, why does that sound like a buddy? And I looked up and there were 2 dudes in button downs, like, you effing suck, buddy. And I was like, damn, like, that hurts. Like it was just like the most basic chirp, but they're on you the whole game. It's like, wow, like they're really in my head right now. And we're on national television and I'm swinging at pitches in the other batter's box. But at the end of the day, like looking back on it now, it's funny. I mean, it's not, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't funny at the time, but like it's a great experience, like something you'll never forget for sure.
100%. Is there bad blood between all the Mississippi schools?
There is. I mean, there's like the little brother and like all those chirps between Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Southern. But I think there's also mutual respect. I mean, I think, in my opinion, it's the best baseball state in the country, between those 3 schools with fan bases and programs and everything. So I think there is, but I mean, it's mostly the fans. I mean, everybody has respect for each other on the field. So I mean, the games are awesome. The games are also always electric, but kind of leave that up to the fans, which I guess I will be here in a couple of years to talk the trash on Twitter and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, 100%. All right, so take us through the story of how you got to be a Husker this last year.
Yeah, so we ended up losing last year in the Super. So just had the conversation with my coaches of like, I loved it here. Like I said, there's no bad blood there. I'll be close with them forever. And then it was kind of just like, I want to experience something new. The transfer portal is, I think, like 3 or 4 years old. I don't know exactly, but I wanted to kind of test that out. And the option of going back was still kind of there. A lot of my best buddies were also leaving or had graduated. So I was like, I might as well just kind of test the waters somewhere else, and ended up entering the portal, and Nebraska reached out, and my sister had gone here, I don't know however many, like 6 years ago. So I was familiar with Lincoln. I loved it. I loved the the support from the fans and the program and everything. So when they reached out, it was definitely like an exciting opportunity that I wanted to take full advantage of. So hopped on campus about 2 weeks later and fell in love with it, and I think committed like a day or two after.
Good story.
What was it like playing for Coach Bolt? And when you first met Coach Bolt, what kind of impressed you about him and made you want to play for him?
Yeah, I just love the way he goes about his business. I mean, he's very one of the favorite things, or one of my favorite traits about him, is he's very personable. Like, he's willing to get to know his players. I think sometimes there's players at different programs that their coach is like, he's untouchable, if that makes sense. Like, you can't approach him, whether it's like just talking about life, baseball, whatever it is. It's like, all right, like, I'm kind of nervous going in, and he's one of those guys you can easily approach and have those conversations with, whether it is baseball or life or whatever. And he's very open. I mean, you get to know his family. You get to know, I'm sure y'all saw Austin all over Twitter, his little son. Like, Bryce and I and a few others went to his birthday party in the fall. So it was definitely like, just, he means business. Like, when it's time to go, it's time to go. But at the same time, he's a great dude off the field as well, which makes it a lot easier.
For sure. Obviously this year didn't end exactly how we wanted it to, but can you talk a little about the experience that you've had at Nebraska this year?
Yeah, no, I loved it. I think it was a little disappointing. I think this year's team, especially, we were stupid talented. Just a matter of kind of not putting the pieces together at the right time, or not having the games. But I mean, that's baseball and that's life. So it's a bummer, but the experience has been great. I mean, the guys, it's one of the best teams I've ever played on. All the boys got together in a good way. There wasn't any drama or any cliques or anything that sometimes you can find on teams of 30 or 40 guys. So it was definitely a great experience, both on and off the field, and definitely made lifelong friends here for sure.
For sure.
So you mentioned it, Southern Miss, obviously a baseball school. Was there a big change going from kind of a mid-major to a, Power 5 school? I guess what was kind of the biggest change with that?
Yeah, I will say, like, the joke at a mid-major like Southern Miss is like, we were very privileged when it came to like baseball and like facilities and stuff, but like, you don't get the stipend or the meals and stuff like that. So like, you always hear the joke like, oh, like, that's so Power 5. And then I know it sounds cheesy as hell, but then you come here and it's like, athletes have the athlete only dining hall, like stuff like that. And I'm like, there's no way, like, y'all are giving us 3 meals a day. Like, there's no shot. Like, I used to go to McDonald's after the game if I was hungry, like stuff like that. And just little facilities obviously here are insane. I mean, the funding and the fan support is incredible, but it's just like the small stuff that you don't really think about, like Adidas sponsorships. Like we were Adidas at Southern Miss, and like, we had good stuff. We were spoiled. Then you get here and it's like custom Adidas Nebraska Ultra Boosts, like stuff like that you're like, how, like, these guys, like, and to some of the guys, and like, not in disrespect, like, to some of the guys, it's all they've ever known. So they're like, oh, like, this is sweet, but like, we've gotten it the last 3 years, whatever. And for me, it's like, holy shit, like, we just got a pair of like Adidas, like Nebraska Ultra Boost. Like, this is the sickest thing ever. I'm like sending pictures to my buddies and stuff like that, like, that you don't really think about, I guess, is more of the advantage, but definitely spoiled as a Nebraska athlete in a good way.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've always wondered that. What type of like, did they just have like a room full of stuff you could go and just pick out, or they custom make it for you? How does it work with like merch and stuff?
Yeah, so with baseball, at least, it was pretty generic. Like, you give them your sizes, shoe size, cleat size, and everything. And then obviously, like, when we would get gear, they would put it in your locker, which was cool. But I think my favorite part was like, if you wanted batting gloves, like, there was like a little equipment room, and it had stuff from like the 2005 team, like stuff like old Adidas gear and stuff that they just like extra. And you walk in there and you're like, it's one of those places where you're like, give me 5 minutes to grab as much as I can, and like, don't say a word and it'll be just fine. But mostly it was like they just set it in your locker and stuff like that. But there was a little equipment room that I might break into before I leave here for sure. And just, although I just expose myself on here, so they definitely are going to know who it is if I do it.
Yeah, I played NAIA ball, and I just remember being pumped up when we got like, they bought us McDonald's after the game.
That's exactly. I was at Southern. It was like, they'd come on the bus after a huge, like, we would sweep a series and they'd be like, all right, y'all get $10 cash. Like, we're stopping at a gas station, and the boys were rowdy. Like, we're like, let's go. Like, let's get some donuts and a freaking pop or something, or I can buy a can of shit, like that type of thing. And now it's just, all right, like, y'all get $35 for lunch. And it's like, oh my God, like, where are we going, boys? Like, we're stopping at a steakhouse on the way home. And I mean, it's not actually that much, but you know how to, like, just the difference is insane.
That's awesome.
Where'd you play ball at?
I played at Hastings College.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, just some NAI ball was it was an interesting time, but I'm thankful for it. It was a good experience.
Yeah, 100%.
So you were 22 at Southern. What was the, I guess, like thought process with going to 99 at Nebraska?
Yeah, it's actually a funny story. So Coach Arvell, our hitting coach, is 22. So I didn't know that. So he texted me. He's like, "Hey, do you have any numbers that you'd be interested in?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll take 22. Like if it's available." I didn't think anybody had it the year before. And he sent me a picture of him coaching third base wearing 22 with a middle finger emoji. And I was like, "All right, well, not getting that." So I think I was supposed to wear 20. That was the plan coming into the year, which was totally fine with me. I'm not like I don't look too deep into numbers when it comes to meeting or anything. And then we had a scrimmage at Kansas in the fall, and our jerseys for the new guys weren't in yet. So one of the just like extra gear bag jerseys was 99. They had thrown one together, and I like jokingly with our ops guy, I was like, if I hit a homer today, like I'm rocking 99 all year. Like it's got to be good luck. And the first at bat against Kansas, I hit a homer to right center, and I looked at him. I was like, I'm wearing effing 99. Like this is the plan. And he was like, I mean, if it's fine with Bolt, and Bolt was like, I mean, it's just a number. I guess it'll play. And was able to. At first, it wasn't going to work out. We didn't know if we'd be able to make it work with the equipment and everything because they had ordered all the jerseys, but it worked out. And I mean, I loved it. I like chubby dude playing first base wearing 99 with some tattoos. Like it's hard to beat. So I thought it was a cool little unique. You don't see a lot of guys wearing it, but it was a cool number to rock for the last collegiate year.
You were definitely a memorable player because 99 and your tattoo sleeve is sick.
I appreciate it. It's just funny because like you got guys built like Bryce, and then there's guys built like me and Max, and I'm rocking 99. It just doesn't really add up, but I'll take it.
Absolutely. All right. I think so much about baseball, especially hitting, is mental. How important was the mental side of hitting for you? And what's something that maybe you did or you do to get out of slumps?
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing, so my sophomore year, I had a lot of success all year. Like there was never really a bump in the road. And then the end of the year, pretty much from our conference tournament through the regional, I struggled like tremendously bad. I went from hitting like 360 to 305, which still ended up being like a reasonable year, obviously. But I think there was like a 0 for 20 span in there. And at the time, it was like I was so domed up because it was like, all right, what do I need to change physically? Like, what am I doing wrong? I think I was swinging a 34-inch bat. I went to a 33. And then obviously you don't do anything about it in the time. You don't really think about it. Now looking back on it, when you go through slumps, it's like, it's really just like, all right, how can I compete pitch to pitch? Or like, is there a subtle adjustment mentally that I need to make? Like maybe locking it in a little more, or like how can do I need to take a deep breath and slow it down? And that was a big thing this year. I went through a little slump earlier in the year, and it was like, okay, it's not physical. I've been doing this for 5 years. Like I don't need to go and change the way I swing or what I do with my leg kick. It's really just at the end of the day, like how can I slow the game down? And I mean, baseball is hard enough as it is. Switching everything game to game, at bat to bat, doesn't make it any easier. So just trying to find the little things. I'm not a big, I don't know how to explain it. Like mental guy is in like, I don't read a bunch of mental books. I don't do like a bunch of mental training. It's more so just like, how can I show up every day and have fun at the yard and not really think about success or struggles like that. And I think the group this year made it a lot easier with guys on the team that just you showing up, and if you can enjoy it, good or bad, that makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, if you can come to the park with a bunch of guys that are just, they're working hard, but they're having fun, it makes it a lot easier. I agree.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So what's the hardest? You played first, right?
Yeah.
What's the hardest part about playing first base in college?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I can admit it now that the season's over. I was brutal at picking balls. Like Coach Marcuzzo, our infield coach, would always mess with me. Like, hey, like I would miss a pick, like pretty like basic short hop, and he'd be like, hey, like how about a little bit of effort, or like how about we try a little bit? And I'd be like, Coach, like I'm trying my ass off. I swear to God, like I'm trying to pick the ball. I'm not trying to let it hit me. And like there was one time we were warming up, and this isn't to expose Breeze or anything, but Bryce threw a ball the first inning, like during pitchers warming up, whatever. I'm just tossing balls around the field, and Bryce threw a ball that short hopped, and like the easiest pick in the world. And I missed it and it hit me square in the face. And like my eye was cut, like my glasses hit me in the face. The fans are all behind me, like, what the hell just happened? Like this kid sucks. Like they're obviously like in hollering. It's the first inning too. And I was like, oh my God, like I might have to go tell the trainer, like I can't see because I missed the easiest pick in the world. But I don't know. I mean, the job is pretty easy of just catching balls. If the ground balls, like at the end of the day, just knocking it down and stepping on one. And I mean, the infield this year made my job a lot easier by accurate throws and stuff of that nature. But this is my first year playing defense in my 5th year of college. So that was obviously a little bit of a mental switch up going from DHing every game to playing a position, but I loved it. It was definitely fun to be out there.
You only DH'd your first 4 years?
Yeah, at Southern, I guess I had like 3 starts in the outfield last year. But besides that, it was DHing every day, and it was like, so I guess long story short, I broke my back, I think sophomore year fall. So then it was like I didn't do any defense. I wasn't good enough to play defense anyways, which is totally fine to admit now. But I got to the point where it was like at practice, if they did any defense, I was sitting on a bucket hanging out with the coaches at Southern. And when it's time to hit, like I would hit BP. Like I was living the best life you can imagine. Like time to hit, I was hitting. Anything else, I'm hanging out by the dugout type of thing. So when I got here, it was obviously a little different, but I loved it. I loved kind of learning a new position and stuff like that, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. That's pretty cool.
So one of the funniest moment I think was the triple against Northwestern. Kind of walk me through that celebration. Did you have that like saved, or was that just something that came in the moment?
So I think the week before, we were in the hotel and our strength coach texted us like, hey, we got a game at 6 or something. Like, we're going to try and get everybody up. We're going to do a little stretching and stuff. And he put us through like ankle mobility, like hip mobility, knee mobility. And that was one of the, well, granted, it didn't look like that, but that was one of the moves, like just kind of moving around, moving the knees, opening everything up. And some guys were making fun of it, saying it was like the double stanky leg. Like we got to use it as a double celebration or whatever. And I got to third, and I guess I put a little bit too much butt into it. And like right as I did it, I looked into the dugout, and Luke Sartori was looking at me with like his hands in his. He was like, "Dude, like that was the fruitiest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, bro, I don't like you're gonna get exposed." And I was like, "No, like it was bad, but there's no way." And I remember the game finished, we had won, and my girlfriend came down to me and she's like, "Oh my God, like you're on like Steven Schock, the Twitter dude, like just tweeted your video of you shaking your butt." And I saw it, and I was like, "Oh my!" I'm getting texts from people like, dude, what are you doing? And I was like, I can't explain it. Like, I don't like, I shook my ass on live TV. I don't know how, there wasn't like a reasoning for it, but obviously it's funny looking back on it now. And, I mean, the boys were doing it and we were hitting well at the time. So I guess it worked.
Those hips were moving though.
Unfortunately they were moving a little bit too much. It's literally supposed to be like only your knees. And I think it was about 98% hips, 0.5% knee, and a little bit of leg in there. But it's definitely funny looking back on it.
Absolutely. That's a good story.
Yeah, so you've kind of talked about it a lot at Southern. Is that probably the craziest place you've ever played, or I guess where else might be a crazy spot that you've played?
Yeah, that's a good question. So my freshman year, I think it was the second series of my career, we played at Mississippi State. And that was another, like Southern is like obviously a great environment, but then you play in a park like that where it fits. I mean, they're getting 16,000 fans at games. And I think Friday night we played in front of like 13,000, and I ended up, crazy story, I ended up getting the game-winning hit as a freshman in my second career at bat, which is a great moment. But like playing in front of that many people, like you think like it's not even possible. Then you see the numbers after, and it's just, I mean, it's unreal. Like fan bases can even pack stadiums like that at the collegiate level in baseball. But it was definitely probably there, or I guess Ole Miss was pretty rowdy. Nebraska games were great when they were packed. I think the fan base here is great as well. So there were definitely a lot of stadiums like that. There were cool stadiums you play in that don't get a lot of people. But I think Mississippi State, my freshman year, environment-wise, was probably the craziest.
For sure. Towards the beginning of the year, I think you had a little mullet going. I've got the mullet going right now. Are you going to bring it back?
I don't know, man. I think if baseball doesn't work out pursuing it still, I think I got to start to be a little more, I don't know, mature. I don't want to say is the word, because I'm still not going to be mature as a person, but just more professional maybe. I love the mullet look, and I think for me it's more pulling it off when I can wear hats all the time, because I got a bad looking head without a hat. So I don't know, maybe one day ideally I'll pull it off again, or at least try and pull it out, but we'll see.
I think you should. It's kind of a tough look when you don't have a hat on, but I mean, you can't beat that look with a hat.
Oh, it's money. It's money. I had to do it. My hair, like, it's one of those where you wake up and you're like, Jesus, like, I look terrible. And you put on a hat and you're like, oh, it'll kind of play. Like, we can make it work. And you start convincing yourself that it looks good when it doesn't. And it's just a never-ending cycle with my hair for sure.
Who had the best stash on the team? We got one rocking. Anybody else compare to yours?
Yeah, mine's probably bottom of the barrel. This is like 7 months of growth with a lot of dye in it. I'm not gonna lie. Like I went and bought like the cheapest, not even the Just for Men. I bought like the Walmart brand, which like stained my skin and burned for like 3 days. But like I had to get something rocking. Trey Fromm, I think, on the team. He's probably got one of the best stashes. He can pull it out in like he'll shave it in the morning and he'll come to dinner and it's already like halfway grown. It's like, dude, what the hell? Like, what's going on inside of your body that I don't have? But he's probably up there for sure. I'm trying to think of anybody else. Off the top of my head, his is probably the best. There's guys on the team that are probably gonna give me shit for not knowing that their stash is better than his, but off the top of my head, his is definitely number one.
Yeah, one of my buddies, he used the shout out Corey. He used the Walmart stuff, and his skin it was just reddish shit everywhere.
Well, that's the worst part is you put it in and then you start scrubbing to get it off, and you're like, oh my god, like I'm scrubbing my lip off just to get a little bit of blackness in my really crappy goatee and mustache. But if it gets a little color, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Who is probably like the funniest guy on the team, or like just the most fun guy to hang out on the team with, and why?
I'm gonna have to go probably Max Anderson. He's just one of those dudes that like, I mean, it's interesting. Like you look at him and you start laughing. Like he just looks funny. But he's just one like any scenario. Like he's also one of those guys that made it a lot easier to play on the field. This is going into the being funny because it's like he just doesn't. He's so good at baseball, but he doesn't take it super serious. Like he'll strike out and come in and be super pissed, and like 2 minutes later, he's laughing and smiling. Like he knows it's just a game. And off the field, he's the same way. For multiple reasons, we'll keep a few out, but he's one of those dudes that just like he's like whatever scenario, whatever environment in, it's going to be a good time if he's there. But that's also, I mean, that's like I'd say pretty much our whole team actually is kind of the same way, where whatever scenario, environment you're in, it's going to be a good time with a lot of him or Emmett Olson. Emmett Olson's also pretty funny.
Awesome.
Yeah, so moving forward, kind of, I know you graduated now and you're done, but for Husker fans, what can the baseball team do in the future to get to the CWS or get to compete with SEC teams? Because everybody talks about in college baseball, oh, it's the SEC and then everybody else. So and you've played against those SEC teams. What is it about those teams that makes them so good? And then how can Nebraska reach that level going forward?
Yeah, I think we're definitely headed in the right direction. I think this year was a big stepping stone, especially they had the big 2021 year. I think it was that they won the Big Ten and took Arkansas to the last game of the regional and everything. And last year was obviously kind of an off year, but I think we took a step in the right direction this year. I think the biggest thing is just bringing in the right guys that fit the program. And I think they've done a great job of that. And they will continue to, and just developing those guys, whether they're freshmen, JUCO transfers, portal guys, whatever it is, and just kind of learning the Husker culture of the program and just letting them go out and play. I think the staff is where it needs to be, in the sense of the right guys in place. I think Bolt is the perfect fit for kind of bringing this program to where, like you said, back to the College World Series. And I think the biggest things about those SEC teams is they're just consistent. I think if next year, if they have a year like ours, it'll obviously be a down year. But I think for them to have the year we did this year, next year, for that to be a down year is a huge plus, if that makes sense, to compete and be at the top of the Big Ten and make a run in the tournament and have the talent we did and stuff. I think that's they're definitely headed in the right direction for sure.
Yeah.
So this is a question I had like all throughout watching college baseball this year. We're seeing teams go away from catchers like giving the sign and going to like the wristband. How does that actually work? Like how are the catchers getting it to the pitcher? And do you think like we'll start seeing fielders wearing that too? I was just always so confused seeing that.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you actually, and I play the freaking sport. So I guess I know the pitching coach has a little, like, it almost looks like a walkie-talkie. And the catcher and the pitcher have a wristband, and it's literally just like a half-inch screen, and they'll punch a number in. And granted, I don't know what the numbers mean or correlate, but they'll give them the pitch. So like, let's say 2 is a curveball, they'll punch in 2, and whether they do a location or not with that, I don't know for sure, but it quickly relays it, with all the pitch clock BS and all that being added to baseball. It supposedly makes it quicker. So it's like, okay, the pitcher can look down at his wrist, the catcher can do it at the same time, and it's like, boom, ready to go, instead of the coach or the catcher like looking at the coach and getting the sign, and then, okay, he has to relay to the pitcher, and hopefully at night at 8 p.m. with lights, the pitcher can see it perfectly and stuff like that. So I think it just kind of they try to take out all the variables with it. It's like, okay, they can get the sign to the pitcher and the catcher at the same time, and kind of go from there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would always wonder that too. That's interesting. What has been your favorite moment in your college baseball career, if you have a single one?
I think it's got to be winning the regional last year, there were a lot of great moments this year, but just from a team perspective, winning the regional last year at home in front of all the fans and stuff at Southern was a lot of fun. I think, especially because for me, I played with a lot of those guys for 4 years. Like you kind of, I mean, I don't know if grow up is the right word because we're 18 to 22, 23 years old, but you kind of grow up with them. I mean, you come in with them as freshmen in the dorms to rooming with a bunch of them and showing up. I mean, when you played ball, and I'm sure y'all have played sports too, where it's like you spend all the time throughout the day with them. Like you're at the field from whatever in the morning to whatever at night, and then you go home. So kind of seeing all the work pay off and getting to enjoy that moment with all of them and all the fans and stuff was definitely a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah, 100%. All right, what's next for you then? Are you trying to go play pro?
That's a hell of a question. That's the goal, is to kind of to pursue professional ball, but obviously I'm aware that doesn't work out for everybody. So we'll see. We're going to try and pursue that for the next month or two and kind of see where that takes me. And if not, I try and find a 9 to 5 that kind of makes me happy, I guess, or like, I don't know. I mean, I've only ever known sports. So maybe find something within sports, whether it's coaching or working a job that kind of still works with sports teams or something like that. So we'll see. That's the weird part, is you kind of push it off for the last 5 years without thinking about it. And now it's a reality. So
Comes up quick.
It does way too fast for sure. I'm going to try and get a lot better at golf. That's kind of the main goal right now.
Yep. That's what we did.
We're golfers. Yeah.
We'll need to get a tee time or something and go out and play.
100%. Are you in Lincoln right now?
Yeah, I actually, y'all know where Highlands is? Highlands Golf Course.
Yeah.
So I live right off hole 1 on there. I live in the apartment. So.
Oh, that's where I used to live in those.
Really? In High Park?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. What'd you think of them?
I liked them a lot. Hopefully Highlands doesn't listen to this, but we would always just walk onto the course and start playing.
Yeah, like last night we'd go on the little par 3. I go on the par 3 like 3 or 4 times a week and just shoot some balls on there. So that's definitely, I mean, that makes it a lot easier. But if you boys ever want to golf, just let me know and I'll be here so we can get after it. I'm not any good. So it's more so it's the social aspect of it that I enjoy. So we're getting better though.
Do you have the baseball slice, or you
Oh my God. I got anything you can think of that's baseball related, not related. Like, it's gotten a lot better. I mean, like 2 years ago, I couldn't even elevate a golf ball off the ground, but I mean, I'll shoot like 90s, 95s on a good day, maybe like an 88 with a few like mullies in there that I don't talk about, but
no one does. That's fine.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Sweet. Well, you guys got anything else?
No.
I think that's all we got for you, Charlie. Thank you so much for coming on, man. And good luck in whatever you decide to do if pro ball doesn't work out. And hopefully the golf swing will continue to get better.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I appreciate y'all having me on. It was a blast.
You bet. Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Thank you, Charlie. What a guy.
Really good guy.
One of my favorite interviews right there, I think.
Yeah.
Just a homie.
Just wanted to chop it up.
Yep.
Just a cool guy.
I'll have to get a round of golf with him here soon.
Yep.
Maybe notice just a 2-man today.
Classic.
Everyone else had things, I guess.
Yep.
Which is classic.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but
it is. But
classic.
we're gonna piece it together like we always do. We're gonna go right into the down bads this week. Peters, do you want to start?
Yeah, so my down bad is Tom Sandoval. So for those of you who don't know who that is, which is probably a decent part of our audience, there's a show called Vanderpump Rules. He was dating this girl for 10 years, and he cheated on her with one of her best friends. So bad guy move.
Can't do that. Can't be doing that.
So this is all on a TV show, so they had a reunion, and Ariana was his ex-girlfriend's name, and somebody had asked, like, oh, Tom, have you slept with anybody since you started sleeping with Raquel, who he cheated with?
Mm-hmm.
And he had said no. Ariana then said, you know who he did sleep with? Me. And Tom responded with, yeah, and she kept her shirt on. It was really hot, which is just one of the most offensive things I've ever heard someone say. Not like
when they're in the wrong.
Correct.
Just crazy take.
You just can't say that.
Mm-mm.
It was insane. Like, it was bad because his best friend is Tom Schwartz, who's defended him through this whole thing, and even he knew it was bad.
Yeah.
And like when he said it, it all just went silent. and then everybody just starts roasting him. It's like, it was just one of the most insane things that, like, I don't think it was scripted because he's just an insane person.
Yeah.
But if it was scripted, all-time script writing from whoever wrote that.
It's just insane. I have recently gotten into the show, so I'm at a point where I like Tom Sandoval, so it's tough to see this stuff come out because obviously that was terrible what he did. But I'm excited to watch it all unfold.
Yeah, it was. If you haven't watched it and you want to score some brownie points with your lady, say, I've heard about this show. It's called Vanderpump Rules.
I'm sure she's heard of it. And
even if she has heard of it, she's probably watched it. If you show interest in it, you'll get your money's worth.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's crazy.
There's a lot of stuff that happens.
And like they've been doing it for a while. Like they were relatively young, mid-20s.
Yeah.
So
when I first started watching it, they were using like really old iPhones, and I was like, "How old is this show?"
Yeah,
it doesn't look that old.
No,
but
because I think Tom and Ariana were together for 10 years, and all of it was during the show. I think
so.
So
it's a lot of time.
Yeah. So like obviously you just can't cheat on your significant other.
Mm-hmm.
It's even worse when you cheat with one of her best friends, and then it's worse when you make that comment because there's no upside in that comment.
I truly couldn't even imagine like putting myself in that situation and thinking that and then saying it.
Right.
You're going to get just destroyed.
Yeah. It was a no-win comment. Like nobody was going to be like, "You're right, Tom. That was such a bad thing that she did." No one's going to say that.
Not at all.
No one feels bad for you.
No.
She kept her shirt on.
It's unreal.
And it's a good show.
Very good show.
It's wild. I think it's one of the best reality TV shows I've ever watched because it's just everything's happening. You never know who's going to be sleeping with who next. Give it a watch.
Let's try it out.
Yeah, and if you want to get emotionally invested in it, watch the reunion because you'll want to watch the rest of it.
Right.
Because by now, if you haven't watched it, it's been all over Twitter, Instagram, TikTok.
You've seen it, whether you know it or not.
Yeah, you've seen the reunion. So just give it a watch. If you watch all 3 episodes of the reunion, and you're like, "This isn't for me," that's fine.
It's fine.
But give it a watch. Yeah. Take it on a test drive and then dive in.
Yeah. Great down bad.
Yeah.
Good one. Mine is Texas baseball. Did you see that?
Yeah, unfortunately, I was rooting for Texas.
Yeah, I think I was too. They were in the Super Regional Game 3. Was it the bottom of the 9th or bottom of the 10th?
Bottom of the 9th.
One of the two. Stanford had 2 outs, runners on first and second. They hit just a routine pop fly just past the infield. In the out, no one saw the ball. It got lost in the lights. Ball drops. Stanford scores, wins, goes to the College World Series. And you could just see the pain on the Texas players' faces, and just a terrible situation. I feel really bad for them.
Yeah, and I think all 3 of those games ended in – oh, no, that was a different series that all ended in walk-offs. But I think there was another walk-off in that series too.
Yeah, I think so.
And I don't know. College baseball is just fun.
It's so fun.
I wish that like it was on TV more during the spring, because unless you have like the SEC network or you tune into like Big Ten network when Nebraska's playing, you're just not seeing it all year. And then super regionals, and College World Series comes on, and it's just crazy.
It's like where's this been? It's been there.
You just can't find it.
You just can't find it.
And I really wanted Texas to win. I think some of it is just back to the childhood days of
Texas baseball was awesome to watch back then.
And I don't know. I just wanted to see Texas because I think more Texas fans would have come than Stanford fans will.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was very unfortunate because that was a really good series, and it sucks that
Tough way to lose.
Yeah.
But good for Stanford.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good transition. Let's talk about a little bit about the College World Series. You pulled up all the teams.
Yep.
It starts on Friday, I believe.
Yeah. I'm trying to find.
So
I
today,
don't have the schedule. I just have the bracket. So Wake Forest and Stanford, LSU, Tennessee, Oral Roberts, TCU, Virginia, and Florida.
go Oral, baby.
Yeah.
It's just fun when there's always like one team that shouldn't be there, but they should. I think they won like 22 games in a row this year.
Yeah.
But just a unique team that makes it is always fun.
Do
You
you
know
know
the
where-
crowd's going to be behind them.
Do you know where the University of Oral Roberts is? It's going to shock you, I feel like.
I looked it up when they made their basketball run,
Yeah.
but I can't remember now.
Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Okay, I was going to say Kansas. I thought it was somewhere a little south.
I thought it was
From
going to be
us.
like the Northeast. It just has one of those like
Yeah.
Northeastern kind of like names.
Mm-hmm.
But then I cut
Tulsa, Oklahoma?
Tulsa. I don't know. I think Oral Roberts, they have enough, like, they're just scrappy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they know, like, they're not a big name. And it was very funny watching them play Oregon.
Yeah.
Two Nike schools, two very different uniforms.
Yeah.
And
Wasn't even close to the same.
no, and obviously Oregon, it's tough to compare with any sort of like apparel, but it might as well have been like a high school, like varsity high school baseball team compared to
Yeah.
like a college team with how different they were. But
Yep. There's always one scrappy team that makes it, and like Coastal Carolina when they won,
Yeah.
super scrappy.
yeah, just
So you never know in baseball.
yeah. I mean, like the chalky pick is Wake Forest.
Yeah.
Tennessee kind of jumps off to me, like LSU.
LSU's solid.
TCU I watched in the regionals and then in the supers. I didn't realize how many games you play in baseball. Like, did Nebraska play 60 games? No
Yeah. I
Oh,
think we
really?
were like, I don't remember how many wins we had. It was a good amount though.
For some reason, also I'm sure like I guess we didn't really have any like weather delay, like games canceled because of weather.
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked when I saw they
Yeah.
played 60 games.
Yeah, play a lot of games, and that's pretty short amount of time.
Yeah, because you probably start in March.
March, maybe into February,
Yeah,
if you can go somewhere warm.
yeah, because like most of those schools could play.
Yeah.
I mean, you're playing at least 4 games a week.
Playing 3 on the weekend, probably a midweek game, maybe 2 midweek games.
Yeah, so like
Some
4 to
weeks.
5 games a week.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a grind.
Yeah.
Gotta have pitching.
Yeah.
But yeah, excited for the College World Series. Starts today. So
Yep.
that'll be fun. Probably go down to a game or two. Always try to. Just an electric atmosphere.
Yeah. I think the bar that does like the different like they like tally the shots.
Mm-hmm.
I saw they had tweeted out like over-unders for each school, and Oral Roberts was 0.5. Obviously, I think that's very exaggerated, but I feel like a lot of unbiased fans are just going to buy like shots for Oral Roberts.
Oh yeah, and their name is Oral Roberts, so
Right.
people are going to be on that, just like they were when they made their basketball run.
Especially if
years
you're
ago.
hammered. You
Yeah.
should be like Oral Roberts.
Yep, going with
Sounds
that.
about right.
Yeah.
So that's always fascinating to me is the shot tracker.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep up with it. We good. U.S. Open is this weekend.
Yeah.
Got any picks? Any hot tips?
No hot tips. The course looks hard.
Yeah.
There's one hole where if you hit on the right side of the fairway, it goes into the left rough. That's how like slanted it is.
That's insane.
What sucks about like the US Open, they try and make it like the hard major.
Mm-hmm.
And like I get you want to make the tournament as tough as possible, but also you want it to be you want the average golfer to say, I could go play there and not shoot 120.
Yeah.
Like, I think they go a little too far with it. Because, like, golf is, like, the only sport where most of the time, obviously there are some cases where like an average golfer can't go play that same course, but in theory, golf is like the closest you can get to like playing a professional sport.
Yeah.
And it's like when it's so different, it's like, all right, we're trying to do a little bit too much here. Like maybe make it so you can see your ball if you hit it
in the rough,
2 yards into the rough.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting. I feel like a lot of people are going to take Brooks.
Brooks will be up there. Rom.
I think Rom is in a bad headspace.
You think so?
He had like a press conference about all the live stuff, and he was like, there's going to be a lot of conversations and a lot of decisions that I have to make. So it's like
he felt betrayed, I think.
Yeah.
By the owners and everything.
So I have no clue.
I don't either. It's a toss up. I think I saw an interview with Foreplay today. Bryson hit 450 drives the other day.
That's just
on the range.
Yeah,
it's like,
that's a lot.
What are we trying to prove? He said he was close to figuring something out, which I've been there.
Yeah,
I've been there when you're really close and you're like, oh, let me hit a couple more.
I mean, I'd be lying if I said I haven't like gone back to the clubhouse and get like a small bucket because I feel like I'm just 2 swings away.
Yeah,
but 400 seems.
That's a lot. How long would it take to hit 400 drives?
I mean, if you go get like a large bucket of balls at like a range, it's probably 75 to 100 balls in there.
If that, yeah.
And that would take you an hour maybe. If you're not just like put a ball down, hit.
Right.
If you're actually trying to figure something out, it's going to take about an hour.
So it'd probably take 5 hours maybe?
Yeah,
maybe
that
more?
seems just so
of strictly driver?
Like,
oof.
Yeah.
He's either going to be, he's going to hit every fairway, or he hit too many, he's going to be in his head and he's going to miss wildly.
Yeah, that's the other thing is if you think you're that close and then one thing goes wrong, everything is just shot.
Yep.
Because you're like, I'm this close, I need to fix this one thing, and then something else starts going wrong. You just can't hit 400 drivers because that means you spent, even on like the very quickest 3 hours just hitting drivers. You got to think you hit your other clubs for 2 hours.
Yeah, and then putted, chipped, all that stuff.
Like, did he just spend like the whole 24 hours there just like grinding?
He must have.
He's just an insane person.
I might pick him this week just in case it works.
I mean, the thing is, he's going to be the most prepared guy in the field. If he's hitting 400 drivers. The problem is what happens if it goes the other way.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look at the odds here to see. So, Scotty's the favorite. Rahm, Koepka, Rory, Cantlay, Hovland.
Sunscreen.
I like Max Homa. Give me Max Homa. I think he has the course record at LACC from college. I think he shot 61 from LA.
I would love to see Homa win.
Yeah.
It'd just be fun.
Max Homa, you're going to get him at about 20 plus 2,200.
Okay.
All the way up to like 2,800.
It's a good payday.
I'm trying to see if anybody else really jumps. Bryson at plus 5,000.
I'd throw 5 on Bryson just for fun in case his craziness works.
Ricky Fowler plus 8,000. I'm just trying to see if anybody just jumps out. Sahith? No.
Sahith. What about Finau?
Finau is plus 25, either between 25 and 35. Oh, that's what it opened at, plus 3,500.
Okay.
So, I mean, you're getting pretty good odds.
Yeah, not bad. It'll be exciting to watch. Just love major weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be a lazy weekend.
Yeah, 100%.
Because College World Series and then
golf.
Monday off.
It's going to be, that means Sunday becomes even lazier.
Yeah.
Almost. So that'll be good. It'll be a good weekend.
Yep.
What's next? I want to talk a little bit about PGA Live.
Yeah, I mean,
One of the all-time blindside moves
yeah.
by any company ever, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, anytime there's a merger, it's always a little weird, but these are like, it'd be like Apple and Microsoft,
Yeah.
like two polar opposite.
And there would have to be bad blood
Yeah, it's like,
between them.
yeah, I don't even know what you could like.
There's not much to compare it to.
It's like if the Yankees and Red Sox
merged.
merge to be one team. It like, I truly just like don't understand. I get it because I think the PGA was going to lose a lot of litigation.
Mhm.
So they're like, well, we are going to lose these cases. The other part is they have like $100 million in their reserves, and 50 of that I think like 50 had gone to like legal battles, and the other had gone to like their purse, like the purses for the rest of the year.
Right.
The PIF has $640 billion
Jeez.
in their reserves. That's like the whole Saudi like government. So, I mean, you're just never going to lose that.
No,
you're never going to
not going to
win
beat that.
that battle because they have just so much more money. But Jay Monahan, all-time bad guy,
Yeah.
invoking 9/11 families, saying that if you play on the PGA Tour, you're never going to have to apologize. And then he just hops in bed with the Saudis. And
I truly thought it was like the fake PGA Tour accounts.
Yeah.
Like I did not believe it for hours. I was like, this isn't true.
Even when like ESPN, like I got the ESPN notification, I was like, I don't think this is right.
No.
I thought when I saw like PGA Tour and Live Golf agree, I was like, oh, they're going to do like a Ryder Cup.
Yeah, something like that. Some tournament together.
I
But
feel
no.
bad for like the Will Zalatoris, who are some of the other like Hideki guys who got huge offers from Live, turned it down. Now like Brooks, Phil, Bryson, all these guys are just going to be back next year.
All-time finesse moves by the Live guys. Just got bagged out. And then get their card back. It's crazy.
I think I saw like that they might have to pay like a fee to get back, but it's like even if it's like $200,000, like
Who cares?
a lot of them got over $50 to $100 million.
Yeah.
It's like that's nothing.
No, not at all.
And then I think they might try and like reward some of the guys that stayed loyal to the PGA. Don't really know how that's going to go since it's not the PGA Tour's money.
Mm-hmm.
It's the PIF's money. It was wild.
It was wild.
I still don't really understand it.
I don't either. I don't know what's going to happen going forward, but it'll be entertaining to watch.
Yeah,
So.
it's just makes no sense, but
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. We got anything else?
I don't think so. I don't have numbers.
Don't have numbers? All right. We'll do 3 or 4 next week then.
Yeah, we'll just double up for next week.
Yeah. It'll be good. Thank you again to Charlie.
Yep.
Great kid. Hoping that he makes it big here soon.
100%.
All right. This is the Boys Not Bad podcast. I'm Dylan.
Peters.
Have yourselves a top 10 weekend.